Hey everybody, Papa Wigs here with Wigs. We're going to go over our week six matchups here. And so let's jump right into it. So the first game here this morning is the Jags versus the Bears. Wigs and I both picked the Bears in this one. I personally don't think there's going to be any surprises myself. I think the Jags are still kind of a mess. The one bright spot on the Jags team is Brian Thomas Jr. And I'm hoping that he has a decent game today, but we'll wait and see because this is a tough Bears defense. Given the fact that it's in London, I don't know there's really any edge from a home field perspective, but I don't know. I don't suspect that this is going to be crazy high scoring, but I could see maybe 24, 14 the Bears. I think the key guys in this game is that I think Caleb Williams is going to have a good game for the Bears. I think him and DJ Moore are going to continue with their connection, hopefully, and I think Swift could have a big game on the Bears. I think if the Bears can get Swift going, that it's going to open up the pass game. So I do believe Swift's key there. On the Jags side, I think the Jags have to get their running game going, whether it's Bigsby or ETN, to alleviate some pressure off of Lawrence. And that'll open up the passing game a little bit more, but I just don't see the Jags beating them. Wigs, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't see the Jags beating them either. I do like the 24-14 that you said. I could even see it being 30-14. I think the Bears are just going to come out and kind of steamroll them here today. Um, the Jaguars defense does not look good this year. Their offense really doesn't look much better. So I really have no expectations for the Jags in this game to even perform. Really, like I said in our video that's uploading here shortly, Brian Thomas is the only highlight of this offense, and to me, I think he's the only one that'll have pop off potential today. Maybe a few highlights from Ingram here and there today if he plays a decent chunk of the um, game, but aside from that, I don't see a whole lot happening. Kirk's not impressive, and their other receivers outside of Thomas are really not doing anything.
Yeah, so that takes us into our next game, the Bucks against the Saints in New Orleans. Uh, Listen, we both picked the Bucks here. The reason I picked Tampa Bay is as much as I like him, this is going to be the first game for Spencer Rattler, the rookie that they drafted, because Derek Carr is going to be out. Uh, it's going to be against a tough Bucks defense. I just think that they're going to kind of rattle him. I think in order for the Saints to have any kind of chance here, they really need to rely on Kamara, and Kamara's got to have a big game, not only in the run game but the passing game. If Kamara comes out and he pops off a big game, that's going to keep the Saints in it, and they could potentially win it. I just think that the Saints are going to be, or the Bucks are going to be focused on Kamara, and they're going to make Rattler beat them in the passing game with their receivers. And I'm just not convinced that that's going to be able to happen here. And on the flip side, I think Baker Mayfield's been on fire this year. He's been looking really good. Mike Evans has looked good. Godwin's good, looking good. They need to get their run game going against this tough defense. So White and Irving got to come out and have a really good game. To at least keep the balance there so that they can use the play action pass and give Baker some time against this tough Saints defense. I think that this is going to be a defensive battle, personally. So I don't expect this to be a hugely high scoring game. And I think the Bucks are going to win this one, 17-10.
And yeah, I agree here with the Bucks winning this game. I just think there's a lot more weapons on this offense right now, and I just think at the quarterback play you're gonna have a veteran versus a rookie, and the rookie's got a tough matchup here in his first start. I mean, he's one of two this week that have tough matchups in their first rookie start, so I just see him struggling here in this game. I have the Bucks taking this 24-10.
So that leads us into our next game, Washington versus Baltimore, and it's in Baltimore. This was a real tough game for me to pick because I mean, listen, Jaden Daniels and that Commanders offense has been looking really good. Their defense has, come up with some, big plays and are gradually improving each week. I just kind of feel like Lamar's going to take over this game and Washington's going to struggle, against Lamar. I also think that this could be one of the games where Jaden maybe struggles a little bit against this um, Raven defense. But listen, if Jaden comes out and plays like he's been playing, and he comes out and he, hits McLaurin and they can get it going again, that's going to give Washington a chance to come out and to me pull out an upset here. They also need Eckler to have a big game to have any kind of chance in this. I'm just not convinced it's going to happen with Robinson out. And then on the flip side of it, the key for the Ravens to me in this game is Derrick Henry. If Henry goes out there and he starts, slicing and dicing this Washington defense, that's going to open up everything for Lamar. It just wouldn't surprise me if Henry comes out and he has, I could see him having a 120-yard game here. So if Washington can stop Henry, keep him in check, and keep Lamar in the pocket, obviously that's going to give them a big advantage. But I just, me personally, I don't see it happening. I think Baltimore is going to pull out the win here. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be like a 21-17 type game.
Yeah, I have Washington taking this one 24-20 here. I'm going to go hot take and stick with Washington, who's looked impressive really throughout the first few weeks. Their defense, not the greatest at times, but we've also seen flaws in the Baltimore defense. So if Daniels can throw the ball pretty well to Terry McLaurin, I would love to see him get Luke McCaffrey more involved in this game and then get his tight ends of the ball, as well as Austin Eckler here in this game. I think they can pull off the win. Their defense just needs to come up with a few big stops here. They've done it occasionally throughout the year. It's never been consistent, but you're going to have to stop Derrick Henry. You're going to have to stop Lamar, so they're going to have to step it up big time today. But this is just one of the matchups I kind of wanted to see if Washington could really pull off the upset.
I agree with you. I think this is going to be one of the better games this week, Wiggs, and I think that this is kind of a prove it game for Washington. If Washington comes out here and they can somehow pull out the upset and win, I think people need to beware because I think that that'll definitely show that their defense is catching up with their offense and they're going to be tough to beat. That leads us into the next game. We got the Cardinals versus the Packers. This one's at Green Bay. Listen, I like what the Cardinals are doing on their team and stuff. I really do. I think their defense has been playing really well. Their offense, um, is playing better than I expected. Um, they're gonna, not this week because of a hamstring, but they are gonna be getting Zay Jones back here soon as well. So I think that that's gonna even help their offense even more. I just think that Green Bay's tough at Lambeau. Uh, I think Love is back. So I just think that Green Bay's home field advantage here is gonna help them get the win over the Cardinals. I think the key for Green Bay to win this one is obviously they need Josh Jacobs to have a good game, but they also need to be able to spread the ball around. I think Tucker Kraft is going to have a decent game, and they'll need to get him involved because this Cardinals defense is going to be tough on those receivers. So, plus with Love moving around in the pocket, that's going to help him, kind of create some openings here. And then on the flip side, I think the Cardinals. I think Harrison's going to struggle in this game, Wiggs, against the corners on Green Bay. Uh, they need James Conner to have a really big game in this one. They're going to have to get McBride involved, and I agree with what you said in one of the other videos. I think Michael Wilson needs to be involved in this game as well. if Kyler can get them the ball and Connor can have a good game against this Green Bay defense, that'll give them a shot. I just think that the Packers are really tough to beat at home, and so I'm going to give them the edge in this one. And again, I don't think this is going to be crazy scoring just because of the defenses, but I could see this being like a 2017 type game with Packers on top.
Yeah, I could see this being like a 2014 or a 2010 game with the Packers on top. Um, Murray's kind of just not looked as good the last few games. I think part of that's just due to the fact that Harrison's really not getting too open from what I've seen from those games. I know he's had a lot of, well, not a lot, but he's had a few good corners here recently, but he needs to find some separation and make himself that elite receiver on this team that he was drafted to be. Um, like you said, I think James Conner needs to have a big game. I think Michael Wilson also needs to have a big game, and I think Wilson could definitely have a big game here. It's just gonna depend on how good this Packers defense is here today. On the other side, like the Packers just need to do what they've been doing: get Josh Jacobs the ball, get Jaden Reed the ball, and then obviously you have Tucker Craft these last 2 weeks that's come alive. So get those three guys the ball, and you guys should be sitting pretty and should pull off the win.
Yeah, so that leads us into the next game, the Colts versus the Titans. Uh, yeah, so this one, I know a lot of people might be surprised at our pick. Wiggs and I'm kind of surprised we agree on this one, Wiggs, to be honest. But listen, I'm still hopeful on this Titans offense. They're coming off a bye week. I'm hoping that they were able to make some major corrections and figure out what they need to do um, to get this offense jump started here for the rest of the season. I think this is a perfect game to try to do it though against the Colts. The Colts have been not very good against the run game. I can see Pollard and Spears both having a decent game here. I also like Ridley. I think Ridley's got a good matchup here, and I think that if Levy's looks his way, uh, Ridley could have a big game. But to me, the key here is if they get the running game going, that's going to open up Ridley and even D Hop out there, and hopefully Levy's can get some of his accuracy issues under control and not make a lot of mistakes. I think that's the key, Wigs, right? Is Levy's has been making a lot of mistakes this year, turnovers, interceptions, and stuff. So if they can do that, I think that they can ride with their defense on this one and pull out a win for sure. On the flip side, the Colts got Richardson back. Now, some people may say that that's a good thing. Some people may say that's a bad thing. I don't know.
I think it's a bad thing.
And so he hasn't been, really impressive so far, and he's been struggling with injuries. Michael Pittman's supposed to be giving it a go here, but he's having back issues. Who knows how well he's going to play and if he's even going to make it through the whole game. Plus, they're not going to have Jonathan Taylor again this week, so they got to go with Trey Sermon as their starting running back. They got all kinds of injury issues right now, and their defense hasn't been playing great at all. So I think the key for the Colts in this game is that they need their defense to really step up if they want to have a shot at all, and they need Anthony Richardson to you know um, play smart, not take chances when he's running, get the ball to Pittman when he can. But it's going to be really hard for them to do that with this tough Titans defense. I think Sermon's going to struggle here in this game as well, which isn't going to create a lot of balance. And I think it's going to force Richardson into making some mistakes, and the Titans being at home and coming off a bye, I just give them the edge. I think again, this isn't going to be another crazy scoring game. I think 17-7 the Titans.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think it'll be a lower scoring game. I just think the Titans have more, obviously a better defense, but I also think they'll be more consistent on the offensive side here in this game, which is saying a lot because their offense is not really consistent in general. But I'm not impressed by Anthony Richardson at all right now. I think he is just a mediocre at best quarterback. He just doesn't know how to get his receivers the ball. He's super inaccurate. Like you look at his stats throughout the year, I mean, he's only hitting on maybe 50%, 60% of the passes. Like it's not even anything crazy good, which is kind of sad to see. Because he's got all the talent in the world running the ball, but you can only do so much with that. I think today he's going to be the leading rusher on the team. I don't even think that'll be a question because I think Sherman's going to struggle. I think Goodson's going to struggle. I just don't see the run game being effective at all against this tough D. And he needs to get the ball to Pittman. I don't know what it is, but he does not look Pittman's way as much as he should, or he is, and he's just completely missing him. We've seen what it can happen when Pittman has quarterbacks like Flacco and Minshew in the game. They get him the ball and they look a lot better. And I think it'd be smarter for the Colts to ride those Flacco off of games they've been having. But that's just my thought there.
Yeah, I don't disagree. They need to figure out something with Richardson so that he doesn't turn out to be a bust. So, with that, that leads us into our next game the Texans at New England. Both of us picked the Texans in this one. Listen, this is Drake May time for New England. They finally made a decision to switch over to Drake May, which I personally think is a good decision. They should have did it sooner, but I think it's a good decision because you know what? They need an opportunity to see what they got in their number 3 overall pick this year. And even I don't think it's about wins and losses with him right now. I think it's about seeing what can he do with your offense? Can he make your team competitive? The rest of the year, and how does he handle the pressure? Because trust me, he's going to get pressure, right, Wiggs? Because their offensive line is horrible right now. Plus, they don't have Stevenson going today, so that means they're going to have to rely on Gibson. He's got all kinds of challenges here. Not only that, but none of his receivers are stepping up at all. So I just think that even though they're at home, they're going to struggle. The only way I think New England's going to have a shot here is if their defense steps up and can keep Stroud under in check, which I just don't see happening. I think Stroud, even though Nico Collins is out, the Texans have so many weapons on this offense that are going to be able to step in. I mean, heck, you got Diggs, coming in for Collins. They're also, they've got Tank Dell, they got Hutchinson, Schultz, Joe Mixon might be back today. They're saying it's going to be, I think, a game time kind of decision. So I just think that the Texans are just going to be too much here, and hopefully if Drake May doesn't struggle too much and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, it'd be nice to see him come out and at least spread the ball around and not make a lot of mistakes. I just don't know. I could see 1 or 2 interceptions here, a potential fumble on his end because he's going to be under pressure all game. So I think that this one, I don't suspect this one's going to be close. I'm going to say 24 to 10.
Yeah, I don't think this game's going to be close either. I think the Patriots will struggle, obviously, which I'm okay with. I got the Texans defense going this week, so I'm excited about that. But I don't think they're going to do much. I think Drake May might be able to extend plays, but that's really about it. And like you said, the Texans have a lot of weapons on their offense. I think you hit that like right on the dot.
Yeah, unfortunately for May, nobody's stepping up. None of the playmakers on this team. I mean, even Stevenson, when he's in there, has been spotty at best this year. And the fact that he doesn't have him and none of his playmakers are stepping up, I just think it's going to make for a long day for him. But I'm excited to see how he does. I mean, in regards to can he at least come out and play somewhat of a clean game and give the Patriots some hope. And with that, that leads us into our next game. The Browns versus the Eagles. We both picked the Eagles in this one. Listen, I said it last week. I'll say it again. The Browns are a mess right now. Their defense isn't playing up to their normal standard. Deshaun Watson has looked terrible so far this year. They can't get anything going on the offense. They're not going to get Nick Chubb back until next week. Next week is supposed to be his first game. So until they get him back and we can see what Chubb looks like, I just think they're going to struggle in this game. If they have any shot at all of winning this game, their defense is going to need to figure out how to slow down this Eagles offense who's going to have all their weapons back. I mean, they got it's bad enough they got Saquon, but they're getting AJ Brown back. They're getting Devontae Smith back. So Hurts has got his weapons back this week. And even though this Browns defense can play at a high level, at certain times, I just think they're going to struggle against the Eagles. I think AJ Brown and Smith both could have big games, and Saquon I think potentially could have a big game against this Browns defense as well. So if the Browns can get their run game going, which I don't see it happening, if they can get their run game going and hopefully keep the Eagles offense off the field, they may have a shot. But I think the Eagles defense is not going to let them do that, especially at home. So I suspect that this one, I really think the Eagles are going to win by 2 scores here. I'll give the Broncos the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say it's going to be like or the Browns the benefit of the doubt. I say it's going to be a 27-17 game.
I think this is going to be more so like a 24-13 game. I think having both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith back for the Eagles is just going to be a positive. They haven't looked terrible without him, but you can definitely tell they're missing pieces. But I just think with them adding these two guys back to the offense, it's going to be really hard for the Browns to beat them, especially with how poorly their offense is. I thought going into the season Watson would have a good year with Jerry Jeudy coming in with Amari Cooper, and he's just looked bad. So I don't have any hope for the Browns right now. It's sad to say, but like there's nothing positive you can really say about them right now outside of the fact that Nick Chubb's coming back and he hasn't played all year. So like that's bad when that's your only positive.
Yeah, and they're one of the teams that they're saying if they continue to lose here, they could potentially have a fire sale before the trade deadline here in a few weeks. So guys like Cooper, could be on the trade block. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. So that leads us into our next game. Again, this game, I'm excited about the Chargers and the Broncos. It's in Denver. This is going to be a really great division game, Wigs. I think it's going to, I don't know if it's going to be crazy high scoring. I really don't think it will. I picked the Broncos. I know you got the Chargers in this one. I really picked the Broncos in this one just because they're at home in Mile High. Their defense has been playing really, really well, which I think is going to be the key for them because the Chargers really rely on their run game to get going so that it opens up more for Herbert. I think the Broncos are going to focus on trying to shut down that run game and force Herbert to use the targets that he has, which right now, they got McConkey, right, Wiggs, and nobody else is really stepping up. I just think that this Broncos defense is going to be too much for the Chargers. Now, with that said, if the Chargers get their run game going, because they do have a good run game, and Dobbins is going to be the guy today because Edwards is out, and they got their rookie that they called up, Vital, that's going to be starting too. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. If they can get their run game going and win the time of possession and eliminate some of the possessions from the Broncos, it might give them a shot. I like Bo Nix in this game. I think that this is going to be another game where you're going to see more growth from him. I think you could potentially, pick apart this Chargers defense, which at times, has shown, some deficiencies there. I like them at home. I like as much as I don't like Sean Payton, I like what he's done so far with Bo Nix and the offense. I think the big key for the offense is they got to continue to keep Javonte Williams going. So I don't know that this will be crazy high scoring. I think it's going to be like a 20-10 type game myself, 17-10 type game with the Broncos on top.
Yeah, I have the Chargers taking this 17-14 here. I just think that for some reason they are going to be able to at least get some run game going. And when I say some, it's really going to come down to like one drive where Dobbins just breaks one off and gets them in good like field goal range or gets them in a touchdown position, and that's really it. I don't think they're gonna go crazy on the run game. Um, their wide receiving core hasn't really like impressed yet, but they really haven't had to too much with how much the run game has gotten going. But I would love to see McConkey get more targets. Obviously he's on my bench, but also in general, I just think he's their best receiver. Quinston Johnson has had a few moments this year in those first 2 weeks where he looked good, but the last two he's kind of just fell off a little bit. Joshua Palmer hasn't stepped up into that wide receiver role like people thought he would. I mean, I knew he wasn't going to just off of results last year when Mike Williams and Keenan Allen were both out. Um, I just think they really need to establish who that wide receiver one's going to be and get them the ball. On top of that, you just need to block for Dobbins, and I think they have their lineman coming back this week, right? Because I think Alt was out the last 2 weeks, and
Yeah,
then
I think he might be back.
I think they had one other lineman that was out, which I think impacted their run game quite a bit because Joel Alt's like a big piece already as a rookie on that offensive line. So maybe having him back will help them get that run game going a little bit more.
Yeah, and like I said, this is going to be a tough division game. So this was another really hard game for me to pick because I really think it's a coin toss. I think Jim Harbaugh's done a really good job with this team so far. I think a lot of people didn't expect too much, but he's done a good job. So I agree with you, Wiggs. I think it could go either way. It's just kind of a flip of a coin. It could and it could come down to the last possession again too. So with that, that leads us into the Steelers versus the Raiders at Las Vegas. Listen, both of us got the Steelers in this game. The Raiders don't have Devontae Adams. They're most likely not going to have Jacoby Myers. I'm just waiting, to see, where that shakes out. But they've got him marked as doubtful. Um, they might get Zamir White back today. That'll be interesting to see. I think it's kind of a game time decision with him. Listen, the one bright spot on this offense has been Bowers. He's looked excellent. I think that they made the right choice drafting him if they can get other things figured out. It'll be interesting to see how O'Connell does today, Wiggs. He's going to be the starting quarterback for the Raiders. For them to have any shot against the Steelers, they have to get their run game going. And sorry, being a Vikings fan, I just don't see Madison being the guy. I think that if White's back, and I know Wiggs has got some hope here. He's actually been sounding more hopeful on White than me lately, right, Wiggs? So if White can come in and actually, have if he does play, if he can have a good game, that give him a shot. I think the Steelers defense hopefully is going to turn things around. They're going to get some pressure on O'Connell. I think they're going to force some turnovers here. So I'm expecting a good defensive game from them. I'm hoping Justin Fields can come out knowing that Russell Wilson's no longer on the injury report. He's going to be their backup quarterback. And trust me, I think that's going to put some pressure on Fields. And I hope it's good pressure in the sense that Fields takes that as, okay, I'm going to win this. I'm going to win this job now. So I'm going with the whole he's going to win this job theory. I think that if they can get Harris and Warren going here, and I agree with Wiggs, I think Warren has the potential to have a bigger game here than Harris. It'll be interesting to see, and they need to get Pickens involved in their games. I know he's been a handful so far this year and stuff, but Fields needs to find that connection with him. And they also need, to me, the key in this game, they need to get Freiermuth going too. Let's get Freiermuth going in the middle of the field. That'll open it up for Pickens. And then Fields can do with Pickens what he did with DJ Moore last year, right, Wiggs? Yep. So to me, that's the key there for the Steelers. I don't think this is going to be a crazy scoring game. I think it might, I think the Steelers could win by 2 scores here. I'm going to say 20-10.
Yeah, I'm going to go with another 17-14 here. I think this will just be a little bit underwhelming in the scoring department. As much as I want to say the Steelers are going to drop like 24 to 30 points, it's just after their performance last week, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about them. I know they need to get a few players going, but you go off of the game where Fields had like well over 300 yards, and then he just drops down and does nothing last week against a Dallas defense that's looked vulnerable most of the year.
Plus, they didn't
Yeah,
even
they didn't
have
even
key
have. Yeah,
guys.
so like they just, I don't know. Last week was just bad, and if Fields does not turn it around this week, his job is not locked down. Like they have Wilson on that bench, so this is a must have like good game here for Fields, and I like you said, I think he's gonna be feeling the pressure, and I don't know if he's gonna perform under the pressure this time because you know the one thing he didn't have in Chicago was a backup quarterback that was capable of being a starter, and now he's got to deal with that, and I think it might just be a little too much for him. Um, I think you have to get Warren going. You have to get Fryermuth going, like you said, because last year when you had Cole Kmet going, he also had DJ Moore going. And as soon as you get Fryermuth going, you're going to get Pickens going or Van Jefferson or someone. It doesn't matter who it is. You just need to get a receiver going with your tight end and then your running back. Last year they had that. This year it's been grim. So we
Yeah,
need
and his
that.
accuracy didn't look that great last week.
No.
I'm hoping I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm hoping he flips it around. If he struggles at all in this game and the Raiders are winning or anything, it would not surprise me if Mike Tomlin puts Russell Wilson in. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm gonna hope that he can turn it around, and hopefully his legs will be able to help him, stay away from Crosby
Yeah.
on that Raiders defense.
But yeah, and then the Raiders just need to get their run game going, and then you're gonna have to find someone in the passing game if Myers is out because really all you have is Tucker. And I couldn't even tell you who's the receivers after that. So you definitely need to get Zamir White going. I think you need to involve Zamir White in the passing game if he plays. It cannot just be Madison. We saw what White could do in the passing game behind Josh Jacobs. There's no reason why you're not using him in that passing game.
Yeah, so that leads us into our next game, the Falcons at Carolina. Uh, listen, we both got Atlanta winning this game. Uh, there's just not a whole lot for me to say here. I think the key to this game for the Panthers at least is if they want to have a shot, they need to get Hubbard going in this game. He needs to have a big game, uh, to open it up for Dalton so he has some play action. Deontay needs to have a big game in order for them to have a shot. And their defense, to me, is the biggest key. Can their defense stop this Atlanta Falcon offense that's got a huge amount of weapons on it, along with Kirk Cousins and stuff? I don't think they can. I don't think the Panthers defense is showing anything to the effect that they can shut this offense down. And on the flip side, I think Kirk Cousins, he's going to come out and have a Kirk Cousins type game. I think in order for them to, really, take control of this game, they need to get Bijan involved in the offense more. Get him the ball, let him run the ball, throw him some more screens, get him more involved. You got to get Pitts and keep Pitts involved in the game. That's going to open it up for Mooney, and London. So um, with that said, I think that Kirk's going to spread the ball around, and if they can get some balance from their running game, which I suspect they will with Bijan in the backfield, their defense has been surprisingly, not too bad this year, which is a good sign. I don't know that they're really going to struggle too much, but Deontay, to me, I like Deontay. I think he's one of the better receivers in the league. So if they struggle with containing him, it could be a long day for the Falcons, especially given the fact that they're in Carolina. I kind of think that this might be a little bit higher scoring game, so I'm gonna say it's gonna be like 28-24 Falcons with the win.
I'm gonna go 35-20 here with the Falcons on top. I just think they have a lot more talent on that offensive side right now. If Kirk Cousins continues to get someone like Kyle Pitts the ball in this game, I think his receivers are going to have another good game. I think that was like the one positive of last week was the fact that he was getting Pitts the ball because teams kind of had to focus on Pitts a little bit, which opened up Mooney and opened up London. Um, and they just need to continue doing that. It literally looked like Kirk Cousins of the Vikings when he was throwing his tight end the ball. The receivers were getting open, and he was able to get them the ball a lot more. Don't get me wrong; he threw the ball 60 times last week, but even with that aside, like you're getting Kyle Pitts the ball, your guys are getting open, so like you just need to do that, and then obviously get Bijan going. There's no reason why Kirk Cousins should be throwing 60 times in a game. Like design some actual plays around Bijan and get him the dang ball because he is too talented to not be utilized. And then on the Panthers side, I don't know. I had hopes for when Andy Dalton came in and had those two really good games, but now it's just like I don't know. It's kind of the Chuba Hubbard show, and I don't know if I'm fully sold on Deontay really having like a good year after Dalton came in, and I don't know. Dalton to me, he's not no Joe Flacco. Like if Joe Flacco was on this team, I'd be like, Deontay's your guy. I don't know. I really like Joe Flacco at this point, but I could see him having maybe like a 12-point game here from Deontay. But I think this Falcons defense is kind of going to tear up these Panthers,
Yeah, well, and again, Deontay's another guy that's been thrown out there at the with the Panthers losing as a potential um,
which is crazy. You just
trade guy.
signed him. Like,
Trade guy. So, well, if they want picks, and these other teams might be willing to do it, so we'll see. That leads us into our next game: the Lions against the Cowboys at Dallas. We both picked the Lions. Listen, I'm not sold on this Cowboys team. Their defense they've racked up the injuries. I'll give them credit. They actually, played, pretty decent last week given all their injuries, but I still think that they're going to struggle here against this Lions offense, which has got just so many weapons. I mean, you got St. Brown, you got Williams, you got Laporta, you got Montgomery, who they just signed to a 2-year extension, which was kind of crazy. They got Gibbs. Goff has got all kinds of weapons, and their offensive line is playing really well. I think the Cowboys are going to struggle in this game against this Lions defense. I'll say it again. I've said it for the last couple of years. I'm not sold on Dak Prescott. In this not yes, he's had good statistical years. He's just to me, he's just not bringing the wins when the Cowboys need the wins, and so he's just really inconsistent with that. We've seen it already this year. I think they're going to struggle. If they have any shot at all of winning today, they have to figure out their run game. Rico Dowdle's got to get it going. They barely used Elliott last week. They got Dalvin Cook on their practice squad, but I don't even know that they brought him up and stuff. So they got to figure something out with their running game because you know what? Nobody respects their running game, so that's why they're making Dak throw the ball more, and CD's gonna do CD stuff, right, Brandon? I mean, he's he's a he's a great receiver, so you're not gonna if you can just hold him in check so he doesn't go crazy, that's gonna give your defense and your offense a chance to come out here and win. I think this could be a high scoring game, you know, 35-31, 35-24, but I think the Lions are going to come out on top.
yeah, and the Lions defense is top three in the run game right now, so I don't really see Dallas getting the run game going this week at all, which is just the harsh reality in my opinion. And because of that, I think CD's actually going to struggle a little bit. Like I think he's going to have one or two like CD like plays, but then after that, I just think that he's kind of just going to be mediocre. I think Tolbert will probably have another big game here for the Cowboys, but I think the Lions are going to win this like 27 to like 17.
Yeah, so that leads us into our next game. This is my, as Wiggs would say, hot take of the week. Um, I've got a feeling about the Giants. Listen, they're down Neighbors. They're down Singletary. Um, yes, they don't have all their weapons, but they actually looked pretty good last week considering they didn't have Neighbors. Uh, you know, I like the Bengals. I like what their offense is doing. I still think their defense has got a lot of question marks. I think the Giants are playing some decent football right now without all their weapons. Given that they're at home, their defense has been playing really well. I just got this feeling that they're gonna give Burrow all he can handle, and it could be a struggle for this Bengals offense. And if that's the case, I think that's gonna keep this Giants defense in it. I really like their rookie Tracy. I think he's got a potential to have a big game here. I like Wendell Robinson. I think their rookie, who's their rookie tight end that's been playing? Is that
Theo Johnson.
Theo Johnson? I like their tight end. Slayton stepped up in the absence here of Neighbors. Daniel Jones has been getting better and better. I mean, Wiggs, you hit on it last week with Jones. He didn't look great the week one, but ever since week
Yeah.
one, he's actually been looking better every week. I don't know. I just got a feeling here that we could have an upset here where the Giants defense gives holds Burrow in the check. They're only going to be able to do so much to hold Chase and stuff, but I do think that they have the defense to do it. And I'm not sold on this Bengals defense. So to me, if Tracy can come out here and have a good game and they have good balance and Jones can spread the ball around to Robinson and Slayton and Theo Johnson in the pass game and not make any mistakes, that's the key. If Daniel Jones doesn't throw any interceptions and he leads this offense, with to be mistake free and just do it and take what the defense gives it, I think they're going to keep them. Their defense is going to keep them in it and give them an opportunity. And on the flip side, I think the Bengals, they need to get Chase Brown going in this game. I think Moss is potentially going to play. I think they said it's going to be kind of a game time decision with him. They also are going to need Higgins in this one as well to step up. But the key on the Bengals to me is their defense. I mean, if their defense comes and plays and they can shut down New York's offense, that's obviously the Bengals are going to win. Um, you know, in my eyes. But I just got this gut feeling that the Giants are going to pull up some upsets this year because people are underestimating them, and I think this is one of those games. I think it's going to come down to like a last possession. I think it's going to be 2017, the Giants.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 23-17 in favor of the Bengals here. I just think that this Bengals offense has been clicking here this week, and I have a feeling Jones is gonna make a stupid mistake this week here for the Giants. So I think it really comes down to the turnover game, like who turns the ball over the most here, because the Giants didn't look bad on offense last week. They definitely need to get Tracy continuing to go this week. If Tracy has a bad game, I don't see this Giants offense pulling it out. It really just depends on how Tracy does in my eyes. I think Slayton will take a step back from last week. I think Robinson will be the number one guy. I think you need to get Tracy involved in the passing game as well. I know Eric Ray wasn't really involved in that passing game last week, so I think you need to get one of those running backs involved in it, even if it's just like two simple screens throughout the week, like or throughout the game. Just make it something easy where you can get your running back the ball in some space and see what he does. But um, the Bengals defense is one of the worst defenses in the league right now, and for all we know, a bunch of these players on the Giants can pop off. Like Tracy could just run for 60 plus yards. Showed it last week. He's got that type of potential within a game to just break one off at any given moment. Slayton had a good week. He stepped up with Neighbors being gone. I think against the Bengals that it's going to be hard for the Giants just due to the fact that I think the Bengals offense will likely keep them in this game or win them the game even. We saw it last week with it being really a offensive heavy game, and I just don't know if the Giants can match that type of offense this week without Neighbors.
Yeah, this will be an interesting Sunday night game. So I know that that they tried to the NFL tried to flex them out of this game and put Washington and Baltimore down in it, but CBS denied it. So that was kind of interesting to me. So hopefully it'll be an exciting Sunday night game. That leads us into Monday night's game, the Bills at the Jets. Listen, we both got the Jets here. Uh, the Bills got all kinds of you know issues on offense with injuries right now. Shakir's going to be out. There's talk that James Cook may miss this game. I think he's a game time decision. Uh, so they got Coleman that's playing. Uh, they got Mac Hollins as another wide receiver in here. Uh, but they need Kincaid to have a big game if they want to have any shot here. They need Coleman to have a big game. Josh Allen needs to not make a lot of mistakes and not throwing a lot of interceptions. I don't know. This Jets defense is going to be tough. This is the first game without their head coach too, and they got their interim head coach in there, who's their defensive coordinator. I think the players are going to be fired up here for the Jets, so that's not going to help either. So I also think that the Buffalo's defense struggles against the run. Wiggs, we talked about this a little bit too, and I think not only Brees Hall, but I think Braylon Allen for the Jets are going to have a field day with this Bills defense. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to need a huge game from Garrett Wilson because I think he can just hand the ball off of those guys, and until the Bills stop the run, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to continue to run the ball. Even though it might not be called, I can see him checking down to a lot of runs in this game if the Bills are struggling to stop Allen or to stop Hall or Allen. Um, if he does, which is going to open it up, right, for Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams. So I just think even with Josh Allen playing and stuff, and he likes to will this team to wins. I just think they've got too many injuries on offense right now and too many question marks going into this game where I can see them pulling it off. I think the Jets team is going to come out fired up for their interim coach, and they're going to use that juice to try to turn their season around. And I see them coming out and pulling off a win here at home against Buffalo. And just a reminder for all you huge Josh Allen fans, because I'm a Josh Allen fan, the one team that held him to I think his lowest fantasy scoring game last year was the Jets. I think he had like 9 points in that game. So the Jets do have a history of shutting down Allen. So I just think that's going to continue. I see this being maybe I'm going to say 24-14.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the 24-17 game here from the Jets. I think somehow Josh Allen will find a way to run one in and throw a touchdown pass to someone on his team, but I don't see them coming out and winning this game. They got a lot of injuries, and they really haven't found an identity within their receiving game yet. So I just don't have faith there. I mean, Josh Allen 9 of 30 last week is really just pathetic and disappointing from someone of that talent. So I don't know. I just don't see a whole lot coming from this Bills offense. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe Keon Coleman is like Allen's target this week and he goes for 30 points on 2 touchdowns or something. But they're going to need some type of performance like that to beat the Jets here because they have a really good defense. And if you don't get anything going, it's just going to be rough. And like you said, the Jets should have a field day running the ball. The Buffalo Bills have the worst run defense in the league. And I mean, they're going to be out on the field a lot, I think, in this game. So I think the Bills are just going to tire out pretty quick, and they're going to give up a lot of points near the end of the game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So before we check out here, Wiggs, just one prediction: who's your player of the week? Who do you think is going to be the big player of the week?
Jaden Flippin Daniels.
Wow, cool. Yeah, for me, I think the player of the week. You know what? I think it's going to be Brees Hall. I think Brees Hall is going to have a big game against this Bills defense. So I think he's going to be the player of the week. And then on the flip side, Wiggs, who do you think is one of those players that people are going to be relying on, but is going to maybe throw up a big goose egg?
Oh, bust of the week. Okay. That is like a very tough one. But I'm going to go with the hottest hot take, CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb, wow. Yeah, for me, I think the bust of the week that could be let's see. I'm gonna say Marvin Harrison Jr. I know that's not going out on a limb, but I think to your point, Wiggs, they need him to have a big game, and I just don't think it's going to be this week against Green Bay. So All right, well, with that, check us out, Fantasy Fools PPR on YouTube. We're also on Snapchat, X, TikTok, Instagram. Like, share, subscribe. If you got any questions about your lineup, feel free to reach out. Um, and also, if you got any feedback, that's welcome. Remember, check those actives and inactives. Got a game coming up here in, what do we got, 20 minutes here, Wigs? So remember, you got that early game, but check those actives and inactives. There's a lot of players that are game time decisions this week. Don't get yourself caught where you didn't check it, and then all of a sudden you've got somebody in your starting lineup that's inactive, and there's nothing you can do about it because they're already playing. So make sure you keep an eye on that. Good luck to everybody out there, and until